It is 7:15. We will reconvene in open session this regular meeting of the Waco ISD Board of Trustees. First of all, let me begin by welcoming everyone who's in attendance this evening. As I tell you every month, we sincerely appreciate your interest in and your support of the Waco Public Schools. I would also like to remind you that the board's purpose is to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and to make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve problems of individuals, as management is the sole responsibility of the superintendent and his staff. Also want to welcome anybody who's watching at home on Channel 17. And lastly, if you have a cell phone or electronic device with you, if you would silence it or turn it off at this point, we would greatly appreciate it. We'll move on to item 5 and ask that you join us for a moment of silence as we send our thoughts and prayers to all the students, families, and citizens of Houston, Rockport, Beaumont, Port Arthur, and all the communities so severely impacted by Hurricane Harvey. Thank you. We'll move on to item 6, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. DeBeer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we are pleased to have 2 students from the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Both students are seniors. Please welcome Kiana Martinez and Laquan Quinton. Dr. Dale McCall is the director of the Greater Waco Advanced Academies. I pledge.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students.
Thank you, students. Board members, please join me in front of the dais for tonight's special recognition.
We'll do it out of order. That's fine.
We will begin the special recognition portion of our meeting with an introduction of our pledge leaders who have both just begun their senior years and are enrolled at Guama. Kiana Martinez, whose home campus is Waco High, says her favorite subjects in school are math and welding. In her spare time, she loves playing soccer and has an interest in cars. Dr. McCall, the director of Guama, says that Kiana is always cheerful and a natural motivator. She makes sure her classmates never fall behind. When Kiana finishes her high school education, she wants to become an orthodontist. Kiana's parents are Sylvia Martinez and her father, Raymond Cassiano, who is here with her tonight. Would you please stand so that we may recognize you, and thank you for sharing your wonderful daughter with us. Laquan Quinton, whose home campus is University High, also says that his favorite subject in school is math, but he adds science to the list of favorites. He participates in the JROTC program and Young Marines and enjoys welding and engineering. Dr. McCall says that Laquan pays attention to detail and is always willing to help his fellow students. He's a great team member. Laquan's parents are Zandria Quinton and his father, Lovis Quinton, who were unable to join us tonight. But we would, thank you. We would also like to say thank you to our Adopt-a-School partner, Barnes & Noble Booksellers, for donating the books and gift cards that our pledge leaders are receiving tonight. Next, we'd like to recognize our Region 12 Teacher of the Year. In recent months, we've had the honor of recognizing both the district's elementary and secondary Teachers of the Year. This evening, we're excited to bring back Mrs. Deborah DeGraff, our elementary Teacher of the Year, and a science teacher at Bells Hill Elementary School. out of 76 school districts across the 12-county education service area of Region 12 and 16 regional finalists, Mrs. DeGraff was selected for the top regional elementary teaching award. Tonight, I'm especially pleased to introduce the 2018 Region 12 Elementary Teacher of the Year, Deborah DeGraff. Bells Hill Principal Rebecca Meckel said, "When you think of what a teacher of the year should be, you think of Mrs. DeGraff. She exhibits all of the qualities of an exceptional teacher. Every year, Mrs. DeGraff helps the students of Bells Hill plant 800 tomato plants to send home with the students for their mothers on Mother's Day. She also leads garden club for the 5th grade students. Once a year, Mrs. DeGraff arranges for the members of the garden club to sell their plants at the Waco Farmers Market. She is constantly thinking of innovative, hands-on, and engaging experiences for our students. She's a wealth of information for our teachers. She provides them with activities they can take back to their classroom." Her principal finishes, "We are so honored and proud to have her as a member of our Bells Hill family." Congratulations once again, Mrs. DeGraff.
Her principals, first of all, Ms. Rebecca Meckel, and certainly no stranger to WISD, the illustrious Ms. Bevel Combs.
This summer, many of our athletes continued to work to improve their skills leading up to the new school year and athletic seasons. Christopher Escada, a junior at Waco High, participated in the Kicking World Summer Camp, and he made quite an impression on the coaches and other athletes there during their annual field goal competition. This was, first of all, the longest duration double elimination field goal competition in the camp's history. It lasted over an hour and a half, and kickers competed all the way from the 30-yard line back to 63 yards to determine a winner. In the end, it did come down to a 63-yard kick, and Chris was one of the 3 finalists still competing. At this time, I'd ask you to turn your attention to the screens to see his 63-yard field goal attempt. It's just 2 yards short of the Kicking World Camp's record of 65 yards. As you saw, that attempt was successful. The subsequent attempts by the other finalists both came up short and gave him the win as well as the Golden Boot Award. In addition to Chris's athletic talents, he is equally successful off the field and has a GPA of 92 and is ranked in the top 20% of his class. Tonight, we'd also like to recognize Coach Marty Herbst, the head football coach at Waco High. Coach Herbst had this to say about Chris. "If all players were like Chris, we would all coach for free. He is the model of a real man," which is our character-building slogan we teach to our players. He succeeds on the field as well as academically. Our staff is extremely excited that he will be part of our team for the next 2 years. And I would just like to let everyone know that you have the opportunity to see Chris in action this weekend at Saturday's game against San Antonio Roosevelt. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. at the Waco ISD Stadium. Joining Chris tonight is his mother, Carmen Almanza. And if you would please stand so that we may recognize you as well. Thank you for raising such an outstanding young man, and congratulations, Chris. We look forward to watching you this season. Waco ISD is very fortunate to have a community of individuals, businesses, and organizations who share our goal of giving our students the tools they need to be successful. The next group that I'd like to introduce tonight stepped up this year on our first day of classes, August 17th. Whether they brought food and coffee for our teachers, school supplies for our students, or were on hand with smiles, signs, hugs, and high fives to greet students as they arrived for the first day, Each one of these individuals and groups chose to spend their money and their time supporting the staff and students of Waco ISD at various campuses across our district. We had a great start to the school year, and we know it's in large part to their efforts. We're honored that they have chosen to partner with us, and we are thankful for their encouragement and assistance. Please join me in welcoming the Waco Fire Department, represented tonight by Chief Bobby Tatum. The Waco Police Department, represented by Chief Ryan Holt. Calvary Baptist Church, and joining us tonight is Pastor Mary Alice Birdwhistle. Promote Literacy, the group is represented by Ivan LeBlanc, Matthew Harvey, and Daryl Belcher. Daryl was unable to join us tonight. Reverend Pamela Rivera is representing St. Luke AME Church. KWBT-FM 94.5 The Beat is represented tonight by station manager Rich Richardson and marketing and promotions executive Christopher Dupree. One Fellowship Church is represented by Pastor Brian Dalco. We have several individuals tonight representing the Waco NAACP. First, Dr. Peaches Henry. Andrea Bernard, who is also a member of the Gamma Upsilon chapter of the National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa. Amber Bernard. Terrence McNair, who is a member of Phi Beta Sigma. Brenda Freeman, who is a member of Zeta Phi Beta. Lovey Langston, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Ramona Curtis, who is also representing Baylor University and Delta Sigma Theta. And Ashley Bean Thornton, representing as well Baylor University and Act Locally Waco. I'd also like to recognize a few supporters who are unable to join us tonight, Pastor Emmanuel Roldan and Primera Iglesia Batista, Pastor Galen Foreman and the Carver Park Baptist Church, and Cuevas Peacock and Waco Community Development. Just want to say thank you again to all of you, your departments, your congregations, and your teams for supporting us in such an incredible and very tangible way on the first day of school. Thank you.
As everybody gets resituated, Mr. Beer, thank you for heading that up, and welcome aboard. Glad you're here with Waco ISD. We are going to go back up to item 7. We need to have the public hearing and or meeting on the proposed budget. So at this time, I will adjourn the board meeting and convene the public hearing. In accordance with section 44.004 of the Education Code, this district must conduct a public hearing to discuss the 2017-2018 budget and the proposed tax rate. All requirements for budget adoption and the setting of the tax rate will be met with the holding of this public meeting this evening. The purpose of the hearing is to allow any taxpayer of the district to present any comments that they have regarding the budget or the proposed tax rate. Notice of this hearing was published in the newspaper on August 21st of this year. Additionally, both the notice and the proposed budget as compared to the prior year's budget have been posted on the district's website since that date. At this time, Ms. Davis, I guess you will make a presentation on the proposed budget and tax rate.
Yes. Again, as you said, under Education Code 44002, we are required to, a couple of things. First of all, the superintendent shall prepare or cause to be prepared a budget that covers all the expenditures for the district for our fiscal funds. And those funds include our general fund, food service, and our debt service funds. We also prepare some budgets for some of our shared service arrangements, the Challenge Academy, the Day School for the Deaf, and the Waco Academies. A summary of the proposed budget is compared to the prior year's actual expenditure, and these are those main three, is posted online on our district's website on our financial transparency page. Under our Texas property tax law and the Texas Constitution, the tax code, and education code embody concepts of truth in taxation, which require school districts to comply with certain steps. There's 4 steps, 4 principles to truth in taxation for school districts. First, that property owners have the right to know of increases in property's appraised value and be notified of the resulting taxes. A district must publish the proposed tax rate, rollback tax rate, and other information, and we'll go over that information a little bit later, of its proposed taxes. That is the notice that we posted on August 21st. A district must publish a budget and proposed tax rate hearing notice, which is also included with the notice of the tax values and rates. And the district must hold an election to ratify a tax rate adopted above its rollback rate. We have not proposed a rate that is above our rollback rate. We cannot adopt a rate that is higher than what we publish, so that will not be an issue. These are the budget timelines. We had our first budget presentation a little late this year. We normally start more in April or May, but we had our first budget update with the board on June 15th, and then we had another one on July 20th. On July 25th, we do receive the certified values from the chief appraiser, and on August 3rd, we presented a proposed budget for the funds that I mentioned, as well as a proposed tax rate. That night of August 23rd, the attending board members voted on that proposed rate and voted on the meeting tonight to set the meeting for tonight's meeting. Tonight is the public meeting on the rate, and later in the meeting, we will have action items to adopt the budget and then the proposed tax rate. The budget must be adopted prior to adopting the tax rate. These were our budget priorities. We had no new money from the state this year, but we did not have as many additional requests as we might have had in prior years. We did approve funding for 3 additional dyslexia teachers. There was the expansion of the Greater Waco Advanced Academies program. We expanded into a construction science academy. We also we lost some funding for our SAT and ACT testing, so the district has picked up that cost. And then funding for instructional coaching positions. We funded some of those, not all of the positions. Their funding was cut at the federal level, so we picked up some of the positions in our general fund. For extracurricular support, we maintained our fine arts programs and actually had an increase in the amount for fine arts. Our funding, we funded band uniforms and musical instrument replacements. And then we funded artificial turf for the baseball field. We did the softball field this year. Next year, we'll do the baseball field. We are striving to keep competitive compensation. We were only able to do a 1.1% increase for teachers this year with a starting salary of $45,600. We did a general increase of 1% to all other employee groups, and we increased the minimum wage rates for auxiliary staff. We also went out on bids for insurance again this year, as we typically do, and we determined that it was in the district's best interest to go self-insured with our plan that will begin with the calendar year. And so we increased, to get that plan off to a good start, we increased our contribution rates from $350 a month to $367.50 per month. All right, in other district support, we continued funding of major repair and renovations projects. That's been at $700,000 for a number of years, and we again funded it at that level. And then we funded some vehicle replacements, including buses and a box truck for the warehouse that I think is a 1980-something model that we currently have. On tax rates. Texas School District tax rates are composed of two components, just as some of our other entities: the maintenance and operations rate and the interest and sinking rate. The M&O rate pays all the operating expenses of the district, salaries, utilities, and what have you. And the INS taxes pay the principal and interest on voter-approved bond issues to construct or improve facilities. In the Truth in Taxation, this is what was published, part of what is published in the newspaper. We'll kind of go through this. Our total appraised value of all property last year was $7.7 billion. It increased over 9% to $8.3 billion for this coming year, this current tax year. The total appraised value of new property was down from last year. Last year, the total new property was $198 million. This year, it's $141 million. The total taxable value of all property went from $4.8 billion to $5.3 billion, and the total taxable value of the new property was $180 million last year, and it's $135 million this year. And you see at the bottom there, can I get down there? Our bonded indebtedness currently, as of the end of August 31st, is $166,390,000. That's outstanding principal. On a comparison of the proposed rates with last year's tax rates, our maintenance and operation rate is $1.17. Our rate to maintain, this is a calculation that we go through in the state funding template. So the rate to maintain the same level of operations is $1.13, and our proposed rate is unchanged from the current year's rate of $1.17. That the $1.17 includes 13 cents of voter-approved pennies that was approved in 2015 in the TRE. On the interest and sinking rate, our current rate is 23 cents. The amount needed to pay our debt, and that is taking down some fund balance, is 25.5 cents. We are proposing 24 cents. So that is a total tax rate last year of $1.40. The total to pay M&O at the same level as last year and pay our interest and sinking is $1.38. We are proposing the $1.41. And then you see our state revenue calculations. Our local revenue per student last year was $4,818, and our state revenue was $4,974. You see that shift between local and state, that our local revenue will now be $5,123, while our state revenue goes down to $4,728. The average market value of our homes last year was $102,996. This year it's $116,097. The average taxable value of the residences, $75,918 last year compared to $84,296 this year. Last year's rate versus the proposed rate of the $1.40 to the $1.41. The taxes on the average home last year were $1,062.85. This year, the taxes due on the average residence is $1,188.57, which will be an increase of $125.72. On truth in taxation, this is the calculation of our rollback rate. Our rollback rate is the $1.41 that we posted in the paper because we actually had that higher debt rate, but we're using the lower rate. It comes out to the $1.41. And once again, taxes on our over 65 and disabled homesteads will not go up. Taxes will never increase unless improvements are made to the homestead. So even if the value increases or the rate increases, the taxes do not go up. This is just a little picture of our general fund revenue. As we talked about, our general fund has the state share of that general fund revenue has gone down, and the local share is now 65.1 million and 72.1 from the state, where it was 73.9 last year. So we've lost actually about $2 million in state revenue this year. Our federal revenue is going down slightly for about 700,000, but a lot of that was in E-rate revenue for projects last year that we won't be doing this year. So our state funding for debt, we receive more state funding for our M&O enrichment pennies, which is part of why we have been taking money generated by those M&O pennies in the general fund and transferring money to cover deficit in the INS fund and keeping that rate a little lower. When we went out for the year before we did the TRE, the debt service rate was about 31 cents. And we've had it at 23 cents. We reduced it about 8 cents. And so this year we're looking at going up. It was proposed in the paper to go up a penny. The debt rate necessary to pay our debt service, as I said, is about 25.5 cents. And so that would be an increase of 1.5 cents over the 24 cents that we are proposing. After the 2017-18 year, because our values are going up as fast as they are, it's projected that we will no longer get any state aid for debt service. We have been getting funding in the existing debt allotment and the instructional facilities allotment, but after this year, I think we'll be too rich. If our values keep going like they have been, we're going to be too rich to get any help from the state on those. So Waco ISD fund balance is adequate at this time to cover shortfalls. Therefore, that's why we're not recommending the 25 cents. We can still cover any shortfall we have. This again is just kind of shows you what's been happening on the debt service side with that state revenue and how much it has decreased from 2013-14. It's in the yellow there, down to 2017-18. And if you look at the total revenue, which is the last column in each year, it really remains very flat. Our local revenue goes up and the state revenue goes down, and the total revenue stays right about $12 million. So this is our official budget summary. Our estimated revenues in the general fund are 140.9 million, with appropriations of 143 million. That is a decrease in our fund balance of 2.5 million. Now, we do typically underspend the budget. We allocate these funds, and it goes out in contracted services and supplies and utilities and all sorts of things, and we do have some under expenditure. I have, within the budget already, taken out some savings for what we typically have for salary savings, and so I don't foresee that we'll have a lot of savings in that area, but we should have some savings in the other areas. The operating transfers for the Waco academies are $608,000, which would be a decrease of right at $3 million. Our beginning fund balance, as we projected when I sent this out, was $41.4 million. Now, yesterday we received from the state, I had mentioned, I think a couple months ago, that we again filed appeals with the state for our values for the last 2 years. Robert Myers' firm does that for us for free. And we got word yesterday from the state that they approved those appeals. And we will generate from the 2015-16 school year, we'll generate an extra $553,000. And then from this past year, we will receive an additional 400 and something thousand. It'll be just right under $1 million that we'll get. So that will go into our general fund. Probably we'll receive it sometime in September in settle up. But that, so our ending fund balance shown here at 38.3 that we were projecting should be about $1 million higher than that. On the child nutrition program, estimated revenue is $10.1 million, and appropriations, we always budget that to balance. Our beginning fund balance there is $1.6 million, and so we're projecting an ending fund balance of $1.6 million as well. Now, this is the debt service. Right now, our estimated revenue with the 41 cents and the state revenues that we've been looking at is $12.9 million. And appropriations, this is our debt, and the principal and interest on our debt is $14.7 million. That would decrease fund balance $1.7 million. Our beginning fund balance is expected to be $4.6 million, and then our ending fund balance would be right at $3 million. This is the cost of our salary increase. As I said, we did 1% for all employees except the teacher schedule. It's an average of 1.1% because we basically did a step plus about 0.4% on that. Our total cost of the salary increase is 98. The total salaries are $98.7 million for all funds. That increase is $1.1 million. Our total general funds are most of that money, $84.9 million. So the cost of that salary increase was $988,000. And then again, we put in some salary. That's without salaries. With salary savings, it's lower. So this is our required internet posting. As I said, this pulls those three funds together. It's rather difficult to look at because it's all pulled together, but you can find that on our webpage under our financial transparency page.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Board members, I would remind you, when we get to item 11 and the actual taking action on this, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. This portion's for the public. Are there any taxpayers or other community members that would like to address the board with respect to the proposed tax rate or the proposed budget? Going once, going twice. All right, hearing none, I will adjourn the public hearing. Ms. Davis, thank you. And again, we will take action on the budget and tax rate in just a few moments. We will move on to item 9, audience for guests. No one signed up this evening, Sandra. So that brings us to the consent agenda. I don't believe anyone's asked anything to be pulled. Does anybody want anything pulled from the consent agenda? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Thank you, Ms. Tikel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. I would note that item J was the cost share agreement between Waco ISD and Communities and Schools, and the Executive Director of Communities and Schools, Mike Harper's here this evening. And Mike, we appreciate that partnership and everything you do for us. And I think actually in coming months, you're actually gonna make a presentation to the board about some of that programming. So we look forward to that. And with that, we'll move on to item 11, which is discussion and possible action. And the first is item 11A, which is possible action on the 17-18 budgets as presented by Ms. Davis. Are there any questions or comments from the board? All right, well, I will then entertain a motion with respect to adoption of the 2017-18 budgets. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you, Mr. Dupuy. You guys have your mics turned off. You got little green lights now, so you know when they're on. All right.
President, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Mr. Dupuy seconded that. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor? Yes. You have to pull the mic and turn on your little green light.
Forgot, sorry. Green light's on.
All right.
This is too much. I'm wondering if the new superintendent's had a chance to look over the budget, and I haven't talked to you about this, and I assume that you've had the opportunity and are in agreement with at least the bulk of what we're doing there. Good enough. I just wanted to hear that.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, if I can respond to
Absolutely.
Trustee Dupuy. I appreciate that. I have had an opportunity to work with our Chief Financial Officer, and her team are very thorough in their explanation of all of our options. You know, up to the conclusion of this budget tonight, we've tried to be responsive to the trustees, and even last week, we were having concerns about our tax rate, and I just want to commend publicly Ms. Davis in the Office of Finance for bringing me up to speed so quickly. And we went over every page of her PowerPoint and debated should it be in the presentation or should it not. And she's won most of it just in an interest of transparency. I kind of lean toward efficiency, but God bless her and her team, because I think it allowed the board to make rational, reasonable decisions. And we'll continue to monitor the budget, and we've got a long way to go to get to the 2018 budget. And so I know I speak for our staff that we've already started that process. Every department head can tell you we're reviewing our staffing patterns and really trying to be as efficient as we can and good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So yes, sir, Mr. Dupuy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. Then all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The budgets are approved unanimously. We will move on to discussion and possible action to approve a resolution adopting the tax rate for the coming school year. Ms. Davis, I just want to clarify, and I think you were very thorough in the report, but just so everybody's clear, and you can sit there. Oh, there's no mic there. I guess you do need to get up. Sorry. Just so it's clear, we actually have two separate tax rates that we're adopting tonight, the maintenance and operation and then the interest and seeking rate, correct? And when you look at pages 16 and 17 of the PowerPoint in the board packet, what we're being asked to raise by a penny is the INS, the interest and sinking rate. All those dollars have to be spent only on payment of voter-approved bond issues, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and that's the same tax rate that a few years back we reduced 8 cents. And the primary reason for this 1 cent increase is, as I understand it, a couple of things that are happening. One is our values go up, we're losing the state aid, but also to the extent some of that increase is in the TIF, the dollars attributable to the TIF increase gets paid in the TIF. We don't get reimbursed that.
That is correct. So we
And
don't.
so we're actually short a little bit because of those property increases. Okay.
And it's been about a $500,000 difference over the last few years.
I just want to make sure that was clear, and that's all we're raising is for that debt service piece. None of this can go to maintenance or operation. That rate's staying exactly the same. Okay. Any other questions, comments from anybody on the board? Mr. Dupuy?
Cheryl, okay, so the basically $7 million shortfall, I'm on. You're fixing to turn me off. It's supposed to be green.
Maybe that's what he was intending.
Okay, that's you. Is that what you? Even with the penny increase to, what, 24 cents from 23 on the INS, we're still $1.7 million short?
Yes.
Okay. And that's primarily through some strange math that the state uses to compute these sort of things because of the dramatic increase in the appraised values of the TIF properties.
Actually, most of the reason for the deficit is because when we did the TRE, we knew we could generate more money on the maintenance and operations side, and then, I mean, it was worth more per penny from in state funding than the debt service side is.
And I remember that, but I guess if what I heard you say a little bit ago was that this has been running about a $500,000 deficit?
Well, it has shifted because we're paying so much into the TIF now that we're paying about $500,000 more into the TIF over the last few years than we were when we did the TRE, and we don't get to keep that money. And so when I say our revenue stays
And
flat,
that's a
lose
contractual
that.
obligation that we don't have any option in.
until about, I think it's 2021 maybe that ends.
Okay, okay.
But I think I did project this out with some declining increases in values, and I think that with this penny, we could go through about 2021 or so, about the time when
Then we have some that retires?
we have some that
2022.
retires, and I think we might even be able to decrease it that year, just depending on how the rates go, but by a penny or so, and then it drops off significantly the year after that,
Okay.
unless we do a bond election, but.
The shortfall in that fund, if we did not increase the penny, do I see those numbers here?
That was that 1.7 million that we were showing.
Oh, that's the 1.7
Yeah,
million.
that's after the penny.
After the penny.
So
Before
we
the,
generate about $500,000 with each penny.
got it,
It would have been about
2.1.
Yeah.
Or 2.2,
2.2.
okay. All righty, thanks.
Ms. Flanks?
So, Ms. Davis, on that, I guess, forecast, if you will, going out to 21, 22, so you're comfortable that with this rate increase of the penny, we would stay flat for the next,
Well, we'll go down, we'll draw that down a little bit more for a couple, then it will start going back up.
Right.
We will be out of state revenue after this year. So that offset that we've had where, our local goes up and the state goes
Right.
down, stops because we get no more state revenue. So as the local goes up, we will keep all except that goes into the TIF. And we'll actually start generating some local revenue again.
okay. But you're not anticipating more increases over that period?
No.
In the rate?
The rate.
That's my point. Okay, thank you.
All right, other questions from the board? If we're looking at the proposed tax rate of $1.41, you have the proposed language for the motion in front of you, and I will entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. President?
Mr. Flanks?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.41, which is effectively a 7.19% increase in the tax rate. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 3.47% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately zero.
Very well said, Mr. Flanks. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Decal. Again, any other questions, comments from the board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will move on to item C, which is Lone Star Governance and the continuous improvement governance work. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, we're preparing for a September 23rd workshop where we will basically continue our Lone Star governance work. As I've discussed with each of you, we're at the time where we need to complete a board self-evaluation along with our third quarter monitoring report. Our staff has provided an update on all of our goal progress measures, and we're confident that the board can complete your required activities during our September 23rd session. It'll be a team building activity, so to speak. The other thing that we need to accomplish on the 23rd is the board secretary is supposed to publicly inform each trustee of their current number of required training hours and where they're at with that. And then the last thing I'd like to do in the update, really just to prepare for the September 23rd workshop, is I'd like to recognize former Superintendent Dr. Bonnie Kane, who has shared with me some information regarding a student outcomes goals scorecard. And this document has been provided to you. And really, our staff has went through the activity that TEA just put out and is asking us to complete. And I'd like to commend our staff, particularly Dr. Robin McDurham, who has worked with me as we talked to Dr. Kane and tried to take advantage of this new information. So I'm not sure exactly what Dr. Kane's relationship is with TEA, but she's an expert on Lone Star governance, and I believe she's continuing to work on that activity. So I enjoyed speaking with her, and we're in compliance. I really applaud our staff for keeping this a front burner, and would definitely like to applaud this board because it's tedious, meticulous work, and this board self-evaluation. While we really took a minor step back this last quarter, I think the main reason for that is my arrival and becoming acquainted with where we're at in the process. And I know I speak for our staff. We'll be moving quickly now and really spending a majority of our time talking about the academic achievement focus that our district has set.
Just to echo that, I think the key word there, Saturday morning, you probably want a big cup of coffee because we're going through this scorecard again and evaluating ourselves on each of these multiple pages of continuous improvement framework. So that's what's on the agenda for the 23rd. Anything else, Dr. Nelson?
No, sir.
All right, thanks, sir. We'll move on to discussion and updates, and this is exciting. We're going to get a report on the success of the Family Fest right before school started. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have our Director of State and Federal Programs, Ms. Sheila Whitehead, who really coordinates all of our special uses of our federal funds, and engaging families as partners is something we are committed to. And this year, we have taken the Family Fest to another level. I just would like to applaud Ms. Whitehead and all of our parent, family positions on the campuses. I'm not exactly sure what the acronym is, PFC or P.
Yeah, parent involvement coordinators at each campus.
Absolutely, and they did a great job. And the board president and myself, along with Trustee Manning, had an opportunity to attend both. I know the board president and I attended both sites, and it was just festive and heartwarming. And I know we're going to end our fiscal presentation, overview of the finances and the attendance, with a brief video. So with that, I'll introduce Ms. Whitehead to take us through.
Dr. Nelson, I did make it to both of them.
I apologize. I don't know why I apologize for that.
I believe we have pictorial evidence of that somewhere on my hard drive back in the office, too.
That's my twin, not me.
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to visit with you this evening regarding our 6th annual Waco ISD Family Fest event. It was held, as usual, at both Waco High School and University High School. It is the primary focus of our Waco ISD Title I parent involvement monies that are under the purview of my department. And this is our major endeavor at the district level to engage with families and students at Waco ISD before school starts. So we've been putting this event on since 2011. Event goals are building those relationships with families, encouraging and engaging those families and student and parent involvement, providing information and education on school and community resources through the exhibitors that come to those events every year, offering health screenings at no cost, immunizations at low cost, encouraging student pre-registration before school starts. That was our big push this year, trying to get those families to register their students in order to receive those school supplies and backpacks. So we had those vouchers we were giving out when they were registered. Engaging families in fun learning activities, and if you had the opportunity to come, you saw the fun that was going on in both places. It was really hopping. And preparing students for that new school year by allowing them to meet their principal and some of the staff that they would be engaging with this year as they went back to school. Our attendance this year at University High School is 459 students. At Waco High, it was 545 students who are Waco ISD students. We don't count those who are not enrolled at Waco ISD or are about to be enrolled through this process. We had 179 families at University High, 189 families at Waco High. That was a total of 368 families and a total of 1,004 students this year that attended. Last year we had 988 students, and the year before that we had 798. So as you can see, participation in this event is increasing every year. Our campuses all had a presence at one or both, in some instances, of those locations. And you can see the number of students who came and attended and received resources and school supplies, backpacks, at the particular campus that they were at. Exhibitors who had tables at both events. There were 47 exhibitors at Waco High School, not counting the campuses that had representation there. Those were just exhibitors who had resources to offer the parents of Waco ISD. 42 exhibitors that were at University High School. All of our campuses participated again, and most of our support services, including HR, special ed, child nutrition, early childhood, ELL, the police department, as you can see with McGruff, and our fine arts department. Services that were provided again were vision screenings, immunizations, dental screenings, blood pressure and cholesterol checks, registration, and resources. What you see on this slide are the donated goods and services that were provided for the event. On the left-hand side, you see DJs and Sam's Club, all of those wonderful things who provided everything from music to tea for our participants and hot dogs, donuts. Sam's Club actually provided gift cards. They donated those gift cards that we were able to give to parents as a door prize for their attendance at the event. Coffee, bottled water, and on the right-hand side you see the most valuable thing that was donated, and those are the time of those people who volunteered to come and participate at the event, or for students who actually volunteered before the event and spent many, many hours putting school supplies into backpacks and preparing things for the families and students who attended the event. Again, this is through our Every Student Succeeds Act, used to be NCLB, parent engagement funds from Waco ISD. We've kind of done the math and run the figures. We anticipate that if we spend approximately $21.93 per student in the provision of the school supplies, and those items that you see on the left-hand side of the slide, including marketing, table rentals, parent educational resources, were informational pamphlets and training materials that were handed out to the parents who visited our parent involvement tables at both of those locations. By the way, the total bill for the event from our Title I federal dollars, mind you, was $22,014. These fine folks are the ones who actually made it all happen. I really, really, really want to give a shout out to the fine lady at the top of that list, Sandra Dorsey Butler, who is the chair for this event. She took over the event when my predecessor retired some 2 years earlier, and she has just run with it ever since with my support when it was needed, and it very seldom missed. She is a wonderful coordinator and was able to work with all the rest of these folks on this Family Fest committee since the spring, all the way up to the day of the event. I also want to give a big thank you to Lisa Hernandez at Waco High School, and thank you to Mr. Love for letting us use that facility and for allowing her to participate and coordinate the event at Waco High School, and Mary Oliveras
through the kind loaning from Dr. Edison, was able to work with us at University High School to set out tables, get vendors lined out, provide maps for the parents, all kinds of wonderful things. So kudos to all of the fine people who attended numerous meetings and numerous planning events and reached out to all of those exhibitors. Just a little bit of a slice of who actually attended the event. This is out of about 300 photos I had the opportunity to pick through. It was hard to limit the selection, but it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to meet with our parents, to engage our students before school started, and really to start the new school year off on the right foot. Last but not least, I believe we have a video presentation that Mr. Jesse Boteo, I believe, has prepared for us.
Welcome to Waco High for the annual Family Fest. We have all the schools here, we have numerous parents here, businesses and community members taking part in today.
Great turnout today for the Family Fest. When I walked up, the line was going all the way down the block and around the drive towards the field house. It's just a great group of folks here learning about resources that are available in the community, and it's been a great turnout. And I think folks are genuinely excited about the coming school year. It's been great to see people learning about the different opportunities that exist in the district, and we really need to thank all the people who helped put this together.
Once again, here we are at the Mighty Trojan School, University High School, Waco, Texas. And I have with me now Dr. Ellison, who is the principal of University High School. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
What you think about today so far?
This is awesome. We've had a great turnout today, and it's just so good to see the community out and our future students, a lot of them here to get some information and get some backpacks.
What are you looking for in this school year?
I'm just looking forward to a great school year. University High School has always been strong, and the future is bright for University High School, and we're going to be strong in everything we do. And so academics, any type of fine arts, ROTC, we're going to be strong. We're going to be University High School, make people proud that once a Trojan, always a Trojan.
And I understand you have a lot of Trojans coming back to be part of this, correct?
We do. We hired some more teachers and staff members, and quite a few of them were former Trojans. And so we got a lot of great people that know the students, know the community, and it's always great to have those people back here in the school.
I know it makes you very proud to have people who know you and know the university and know once a Trojan is always a Trojan. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning. Once again, I have with me Dr. A. Marcus Nelson, the new superintendent of Waco Independent School District. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. I'm certainly excited to be here at Family Fest at University High. What a wonderful event to engage our families and our parents. I'm appreciative of Dr. Edison and the entire team here at University who have coordinated this feeder pattern focused activity, and we're excited for a great school year.
I know this is your first year here and the first year you've seen this, but have you been over to Waco High also today?
Well, as you know, we have two Family Fests going on, and we started this morning over at Waco High School, and they had people out the door over there, and it was just a great event, so it just warms my heart to see how many people are excited to come to school, and all the sponsors and community partners who are getting kids backpacks and getting their immunizations and physicals and just everything that we need to take care of our business during the school year. And we're excited about the school year, and so this is a great kickoff.
Okay, anything special you looking forward for this school year with this being your first year?
Well, just as with any school year, we hope to take our schools to another level. And we really want our teachers and our campus administrators and our staff to really focus on doing their very best work. We believe these kids deserve that, and so we're just asking everyone to improve, become very diagnostic and prescriptive about what we expect from our children, and raise the standards in Waco and really push our kids to be world-class kids.
Any questions or comments from the dais? Ms. Whitehead, thank you. It really was a great event.
Manning wants to talk.
Dr. Nelson said that allowing those folks to get vision screenings and immunizations and really get ready to start the school year with everything done was a great resource for the community. So thank you.
I did 5 interviews. We're missing 3 of them.
I'm wondering why you had to ask Dr. Nelson if he was at Waco High if you're claiming you were there. If you were there, you would have seen it.
I went to Waco High at the last moment. They were shut down when I got there. Chief Williams, you got my picture? Chief Lieutenant Williams got proof that I was there with him.
Any other questions or comments?
No, but Mr. President, if I may, just under this, loosely under this agenda item, we've had a very, very successful start of school. And really our entire team is responsible for that. I've had the opportunity to visit every campus, and our buildings are clean and they're organized for effort. All of our security protocols are in place. Our technology is up and running, and I'm just real proud of that. The other thing that I wanted to do is briefly just recognize Chief Boatman and Lieutenant Williams for an activity that they did that involved our Little League World Series team. They certainly did not have to, but they drove to West Texas, and they met our girl. And for the record, our Little League World Series champions, they won the World Series, not the state championship, not the regional championship. They beat people like China and Puerto Rico and North Carolina, and I'm just so proud of that. And the fact that they were picked up at the DFW airport by our transportation department, and they rode in a yellow dog together, and they did not know that Chief Boatman and his men, his officers, were going to light up. That's a tradition. When you win a championship, you're supposed to get a police escort into town. And if you talk to those beautiful little girls, they will tell you that that was one of the highlights of their experience. So I wanted to thank Mr. Gray, Chief Boatman, and his team for making that special. Also, I wanted to recognize Mr. Cliff Reese, our outstanding Child Nutrition Service Department. Today, I had an opportunity to attend the Pack of Hope training, where, for the record, we send home 1,000 of our neediest students go home each week with groceries that this community funds, packs the bags, and we go pick it up. And I'm just real proud of that activity that's led by our child nutrition team, Sodexo and Mr. Reese. Certainly last but not least, it's football season, and so we just want to encourage everyone to come out and join us at the Derek Johnson Classic. Actually started tonight with Marlin and Blooming Grove or some school. I'm not really concerned about either one of those. But starting tomorrow, our University Trojans, who have been working so hard. I saw them practice several times earlier this summer, and looking forward to them going out and competing against a team from the Austin Independent School District, the LBJ Jaguars. And then tomorrow night, our town's namesake, Waco High, will have the opportunity to go against a school that I actually once attended briefly, San Antonio Roosevelt. So looking forward to 2 great victories over the next couple of days, and it's just an exciting time to be in the Waco Independent School District, where we're trying to engage our families as partners in this process. So thank you to Dr. McDurham, thank you to Ms. Whitehead, and all of our parent liaisons and folks who focus on making our parents feel welcome at our schools, and we know that we cannot do this alone. So thank you very much.
Mr. DeBeer, do you have any announcements?
Thank you, Mr. President. As part of that process of engaging parents in the community and students and staff in what's happening in the district, next week we will be working with a company called K-12 Insight to launch a broad survey that is going to provide an opportunity for us to listen and for our entire community to provide candid feedback. That's going to help to collaboratively guide Dr. Nelson in his entry into the district and to guide the district in listening to the community going forward. Also, I wanted to highlight that on September 25th, the Heart of Texas College Night will be held at the Exhibits Building of the Extraco Event Center from 6 to 8 p.m., and students can register in advance by going to gotocollegefairs.com. That'll allow them to get a barcode that makes it easy to share their information with the recruiters they're talking to at the event so that everyone can follow up and identify opportunities moving forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. I do want to follow up on one thing that Dr. Nelson said. I got an opportunity to talk to a bunch of those girls as they came back into town, and what you guys did was really special in terms of the police escort. Most of them thought they were getting pulled over is what they said, but they thought it was. The other thing I want to say was we actually had a member of our staff, David Ellis, who went all the way out to Portland, Oregon, and apparently, and for the record, I deactivated my Facebook account in May, and I don't miss it. But David was out there and was live streaming games on Facebook and doing a lot of videos and interviews with the girls and posting it to the Waco ISD Facebook page, and the coaches and the parents were very appreciative, and they kept referencing the support they felt they were getting, not only from the entire community, but specifically from Waco ISD. And I want to tell you how much we appreciate your leadership in letting the district really support those girls in that accomplishment.
Yeah, Mr. Ellis did a great job. It was play-by-play. Even when it was on ESPN, you could watch it on Twitter. So I appreciate Mr. Ellis for his time and attention to that. We also wanted to, before we wrap up, want to always recognize one of our great community partners who comes to these meetings tirelessly. I'm not sure. I'm like, you're not getting any more budget, but anyway. But I'm glad you're here. I really appreciate my friend from Avante. They do a great job, great partners, and Mr. Felipe Garza, appreciate you being here. Also wanted to congratulate our staff, this board. We're dealing with tough fiscal times, but tonight our staff received a praise. And I just want to thank our partners, AFT and TSTA, because they really have been advocates, good advocates, strong advocates for taking care of our staff. And I know that this board is committed to doing the best we can. And we certainly have high expectations, and my good friend, Ms. Fisher, back there, and the entire team, I just appreciate their leadership. Last but certainly not least, I already thanked Ms. Davis and the budget team they wanted to make sure we introduced the members of the budget development team that are here. Our Director of Finance, Mr. David Cartwright, helped with the budget. And our Director of Procurement, Financing, Business Services, my fellow high school teammate, Ms. Sherry Trotz. That's all we have, Mr. President.
All right, any other announcements from the board? Then hearing no objection, we will stand adjourned.